Hi everyone, this is Sandy. Welcome back to part 3 of my tutorial for the album, Christmas Dreams album that will go inside the book box. Today I'm going to try to work on page set 1 and page set 2 if I can, to it'll be a little bit longer, and so it may be a couple of days before I actually get this posted, but I want to go ahead and do that. Now, first thing I want to go over with you is the base pages. Now, we've already cut our 5 base pages, which were cut at 7.5 by 8, and we scored the 7.5 inch side at a 1/2 inch. So we have the base pages, and this is what's in my original book. But I've decided, since I add on lots of flaps and things, that I want to make our base page a little stronger, a little thicker. So I've decided to add in pocket sleeves. So we'll have an insert if we want. So I'm going to set these aside. We have those already done. So for your pocket sleeve inserts, you want 5 more cardstock cut at 9 by 7.5. And I'm just going to show you doing one 9 by 7.5, and I'm going to score my 9-inch side at a 1/2 inch on each end. So that's at a 1/2 inch here, and at 8.5 over here. Turn and score your 7.5 inch side at a 1/2 inch also. Okay, and this is like making a big pocket. We're going to cut these corners are at an angle where they intersect. We're going to miter those just right across where that, just before the point where the 2 lines intersect. And then go ahead and burnish these up. Fold and burnish. I'm going to check. I'm going to do both ends first, and then I'm going to check and make sure that they are not overlapping here on the corners. So if you need to trim just a tiny bit more off, that's fine. So I am going to trim some right here, because I like to make sure they're not overlapping a lot here in the corners. Okay, so that is the pocket sleeve, and I'm going to show you putting it on one page, and we're going to do that. You will do that for all 5. But in this video, I'm just showing you doing one. Getting that ready. So take your pocket and burnish this. And it doesn't matter which side you put it on. I'm going to probably put it on the side with the fold here. So the side fold goes right along the fold of the page, and you want to make sure you're lining up here on the ends. So I need to kind of fold that a little bit better right there. It's got a little point I don't like. Okay, so taking my base page, I'm going to fold my hinge under there, and I'm going to take my glue, and I'm just going to check this to double check, make sure it fits good. Okay, so I'm going to put glue on my, what I call the bottom one, on the back side here. Get my glue going. First time today to use it, so it's saying, no, we don't think so. Kind of clogged up in there. There we go. Get that glue going on there. And I'm going to attach this fold along the fold. Make sure it is straight on the bottom and the top. You don't want it crooked, okay? So burnish that, hold it and burnish. If it makes it easier for you to use score tape, you certainly can do that. So burnish here on the inside. Now I don't want I don't know if I'll have anything coming that far in, but I'm going to take some Scotch tape and I'm just going to seal that hinge right there where a tag or something might fit all the way down inside there, and smooth that out so that it doesn't hang. Okay, now next thing we're going to do is seal this up. So we're going to put glue on both attachment flaps here. Make sure I get plenty of glue on there. And so you're going to do this for all 5 of your pages, okay? And I'm just going to line this up here, make sure it's lined up. It should fit right there. And burnish. And we're sealing up our page with a pocket sleeve like that, so it has an opening here. So I'm just making sure it is burnished good and sealed up. So that is my pocket page. So I have a place here that I can put inserts or whatever I want to put inside there. So I'm going to do that with all 5 of my base pages and have them all ready to go. But today we're probably just going to be working with 2 of these. Okay, so I went ahead and got all 5 of my pages assembled with the pocket sleeve on. So each one does have this pocket on the side, and here's the hinge that goes in the book, folded and scored on each one. So we're going to take just one at first to work on page set 1. So we'll take our album cover though first, and we need to go ahead and put pattern paper here on this inside spine section. So I've cut out a pattern paper. I've cut one that is 2 3/8 wide by 8 5/8 tall, and that's going to glue right in here, just about 1/16 of an inch from each fold line of the album cover. So I'm just going to put that in with my glue. So we want to go ahead and do this before we start adding any pages to the album cover, because we do want it finished here at the top and a bit on the edges, just a little bit. So we're lining this up even from both fold lines, about 1/16 of an inch, and even with the page here at the top and the bottom. So go ahead and burnish that in. Okay, so that's our cover for now. We can set this aside and we can start working on the front of page set 1. So here we have the page. I want my hinge here on the left folded under with my opening here on the right. And for this front page, I cut a piece of pattern paper out of this with the church here on the left and the white tree with the pink, touch of pink on it. This one is cut at 6 7/8 wide by 7 7/8 tall, and this is going to glue down right here. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and put that down. And what I'm doing, I'm going to show you in the original book. This had pockets that I created by fussy cutting, so I'm going to do the same thing. Of course, this one's for Halloween with the Rare Oddities paper and the tags sticking down. So I'm not going to have all the elements like this, but I am going to have this fussy cutout piece from the other corner of this paper. So I cut it like this, squared it here on the left, the right, and the bottom. And I'm going to attach this to some white cardstock. And we're going to make a pocket that's going to fit right over here, and then we can tuck things from the top. So I just think that would be pretty here on the very front of page set 1. So I'm going to go ahead and put this one down. Like I said, you want this on the front side of your page set 1. So we want the opening here to the right. I'm just going to line this up. sure it's nice and straight. Burnish it with my hands first to get that spread out in there underneath. And then go ahead and burnish it with my flat side of my bone folder. And if you don't want a pocket and you just want to leave it plain like that, that's very pretty for the front page. But like I said, I'm going to make this a tuck-in pocket. So let me grab some cardstock to glue this onto. Okay, so to do this, you will need to, I don't have a scrap wide enough. I need a 6-inch wide piece of cardstock. So I have to take a whole one and cut it in half. And the 6-inch wide is going to work just fine for what I have trimmed down. So I'm going to glue this down and have a very thin margin of the white showing, and then I'll fussy cut the top part. So I'm going to get the glue on the back of this. And I call this a loosely fussy cut because I want to keep some of the sky around the trees of the church and the church steeple. So it's not a real tight fussy cutting. And of course I kept it straight on the edges. And I'm going to put this on here where it has a barely a 1/16 of an inch margin here on the side and the bottom and this other side. So this is what we have right here. And then I'm going to take my small scissors and I'm just going to trim around this and then finish fussy cutting out. So get this longer piece out of the way and wipe off any glue that came out. Okay. And then so fussy cut loosely around all this, leaving just a tiny bit of white. Now do this to make it stronger to be a pocket. Because if we just use the pattern paper, well, it could tear with the going in and out of your tags or photo mats or whatever you're going to put in your pocket. So you want the cardstock to make the pocket stronger. So I'm just going to go ahead and loosely fussy cut around what I already cut of the pattern paper with the cardstock, putting a narrow margin of white around it. Now if you didn't want the white margin, that would be fine. You would just cut along where you already fussy cut. So around, and if I get it too wide in some areas, I'll come back along and trim it down a little bit. It's not perfect, so don't stress out too terribly much about your fussy cutting. It's going to look just fine. Almost there. Okay, so there it is. That looks pretty good. I like that. So this is going to be a flat pocket. And we're going to put it in here. And I'm going to center it, I think, like about a 1/2 inch from the edge. And I'm just trying to decide if I went all the way to the bottom, which I think I do. So the glue is going to go in the back. Just a line of glue along the bottom. And I'm almost ready to change out my glue here. Getting kind of low. And along that straight edge on the left and the right side. Okay. And then we take it and we're going to place it on the bottom, and we want it about a 1/2 inch from the left and right side, and burnish that down. And that is a pocket like that. So it's not as much detail as the one that I had for the rarities because it was a bookshelf with a lot of books, but we'll be able to put different photo mats or journaling cards that we cut from our pattern paper, and then of course we'll probably put a mat inside here. So I like how that turned out. I may do some decorating, some more detail on that, but for now that's all I'm going to do is that particular pocket, and then I'm going to flip this over and then start working on the back side. On the back of page set 1, we're going to do what I call a double full flap with a tag. flap closure type. So we cut two more full sheets of cardstock. This album uses a lot of cardstock, by the way. 2 full sheets of cardstock you want to cut at 7 inches wide by 8 inches tall, and we're going to score the 7-inch side at a 1/2 inch on both of them. So go ahead and get that 1/2 inch score line there. 7 inches at the top, score at a 1/2 inch. And then you take this flap die tag. I punched with the heartfelt tag that I showed you earlier in the tutorial series. You can use the Graphic 45 tags if you want to, but this one measures about 6 inches, so I'm going to put it in with the bottom at the left side here, the 6 inch at the top, and I'm going to score it at 2 inches. Now, yes, this is a whole lot more than you really need to attach into your book, so you can trim this down if you want to a 1/2 inch tab, but I'm just going to leave mine long like that and use it that way. So it doesn't add any thickness or anything. I personally don't think under the page, so it's okay. So you burnish that. Now I'm going to make sure I get my magnets on before I do any pattern of my paper, especially on the back side where the magnet goes, and also where I want before I put my eyelet in. So we take these two, we're going to fold on that 1/2 inch. Go ahead and burnish that really well in both pieces. And then we're going to attach these to the back of the page set 1. And I'm going to go ahead and attach it in before I add my pattern paper to make sure I get my bone magnets in and everything correctly. So here is our page. So you make sure you turn it so this is the correct direction, so you have your hinge here on the right. So we're going to take one of these. We've got the hinge attachment flap, and we're going to put one to the right and one to the left. So it doesn't matter which one goes on first because you can reverse them if you want to. So I'm going to take my glue and put it on the back side of my hinge. So I want the fold of this hinge towards the fold of the attachment hinge, the page hinge, but you don't go over your score lines. Make sure you're lining up here at the bottom so that your page is going on nice and straight. Burnish that, flip that up, and burnish inside. I'm going to leave that open right now, and then this one's going to attach this way on the cut edge. So we put glue on the hinge on the back side. Put this on, line it up the fold to the cut edge of the page and along the bottom. Make sure it's nice and straight. Scoot it over at the top if you have to. Make sure it's straight here at the top. Burnish that down on the left side. So you have your opening here. Got your hinge here. So let's flip this open and burnish inside. So this is going to close in and then out. And this is going to attach here onto the inner flap so that this can hang over and grab this one like that. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and put this down. So I put the glue on the 2-inch back side of my 2-inch. And I'm going to turn this so I can center it. I'm going to put the fold of this right along the fold of this page here. And I'm looking at it and getting it centered. Top and bottom. So that's about 2 inches and 2 inches on each side. So burnish that down. So this is going to fold in like that. So you want your magnets to be on the back of this, and it can go on this page or even this page. It doesn't really matter. It would go through all the thicknesses, but I'm going to put it here on this one so that it attaches to the front like that. Okay, so now we're going to get, let's go ahead and put the magnets on. I have the plus and a minus. You could use the smaller ones if you wanted to. Peel that backing off. And I'm going to center it here about an inch, quarter or so from the center of that. Let's grab some Scotch tape. I like to secure that because it helps to kind of hide the edges of your magnet also and secures it on. Attach your metal to metal, and then we're going to pull the backing off of this magnet. And we're going to put this down, close it up, and just place this on there and then gently pull it up and then secure it with tape. Now we're ready for our patterned paper. For the back side of page set 1, I decided to go with the little nutcrackers and the holly and berries. I think that's with that pink color is very pretty. And also this floral or patterned cream color like that. So I have cut, of course I punched out with the die 2 of these, and then I trimmed it down to fit the short size. So this is the inner part of my die. I needed one front and back. And then for the flaps, I needed 4 that were 6 3/8. Let me double check. 6 3/8 by 7 7/8. And then for the very far back inside piece, we needed one that is a little bit bigger, and that is 6 3/4 by the 7 7/8. So we have all that cut out, and we'll go ahead and put these on. So I'm going to put the nutcracker here on the first flap that you see over the magnet. Okay, so I have a new bottle of glue. Should come out pretty good now. So here we go. All the way around the edges and then onto the paper. So I'm putting this on the back side. I wanted the nutcrackers here on this front flap. So I'm just going to line this up, top and bottom, side to side, and then burnish it with my hands. And then of course take my flat side of my bone folder and burnish. Make sure it sticks on all the edges, and especially around that magnet right there. Don't want it any puckering up or anything like that. So then I'm going to close down the magnet. I'm going to do just the holly and the berries here on this side. And having that die makes it really nice to get that punched out the right size. So we burnish that. Then I open this up, and from the inside, I think I'm going to go ahead and go with the nutcrackers again across from that. It's on the back side. So many pretty papers in this collection, so you just kind of have to pick and choose your favorites, and hopefully we have enough that we can use some of all of it. So we lay this down. Just like that. And then again, make sure we are burnishing around those magnets right there to make sure it all stays down flat. Okay, now when we open this up this way, I'm going to put some of this cream colored right here on this flap. Okay. Now what I'm going to do is get all of my pages assembled, my pattern paper on, and then I will decide what decorating I might want to add once I get them in the cover, because then you can determine how whether you can use anything thicker or if you need to keep it all flat. So that usually works better for me to do it that way. So now we're going to open this up. Let's make sure that's burnished right there. Okay. I'm going to put this over here, which when this is closed, this is going to kind of match that. But first I'm going to put this center one in so that we can cover the 2 1/2-inch attachments. So you want to make sure those are covered. So this whole section is covered, but not over the fold line of the flaps. And I'm going to use the berries and holly on this one. And burnish that in. And I know this is just paper and it's not really glittery, but the way it's designed, it kind of gives that glitter, sparkly look to it. All that extra lightness in there. So now these go here. Okay, so there is our page set 1 assembled and patterned, and I did put in a couple of tags in here to just see how it looked. And so for now, that is page set 1. So let's go ahead and get ready to do page set 2. Before we go into page set 2 though, I forgot, I want to put an eyelet here on this flap here on our tag flap. So I take my large size hole on my Crop-A-Dile and I'm just going to center it. Drop my eyelet in. I'm using the gold one. I'm going to drop that in, pretty side up, and then I fit the, oops, put that in, make sure it stays in. And I take my setter tool, so I have this bigger size prong right here, and then the base. So the prong goes into the finished size of the eyelet through the hole. And hold it straight and just squeeze and crimp it. And that's how you do an eyelet. And I'm going to redo it a little bit. Didn't get it quite pressed enough. And I want it nice and flat on the other side. And there we go. So then I take my little bit of gold ribbon, feed that through. And just tie that in a double knot. There we go. And just trim these at an angle a little bit. There we go. Very pretty. I just like that little bit of glittery ribbon. I think I picked it up at one of the big craft stores. So there we go. Page set 1. Now we're ready for page set 2. We're going to do it similar to the original book. We're going to have these fuller size tabs here, or with the tag tabs or flaps. And then we'll have a pocket, but I'm going to make them, instead of flat pockets, I'm going to have them where you can actually put something in them a little bit, have them thicker with the gussets on the side. So we're going to make this pocket page now, for our page set 2. So let's, first of all, I punched out with my die, the full size of the die, 2 of these, 2 dies for the flaps, and then 2 pieces for the pockets that are 5 3/4 by 5, 5 3/4 by 5. So we need our scoreboard. Let's take the pocket pieces. We're going to take our 5 3/4 here at the top, and we're just going to score at a 1/2 inch. Turn it with your 5 inch at the top and score at a 1/2 inch and 4 1/2. Okay, we'll do the same here. We'll take our 5 3/4 in. We'll score at a 1/2 inch. Turn 5 inch at the top, score 1/2 inch, and at 4 1/2. Okay, so those are those pockets. Take these 2 tags. Now this time we don't want to score it over as far. We want to just put a 1/2 inch. So we put the bottom of the tag in and score at a 1/2 inch right there, because we want to keep these a little bit longer. Okay, like that. So now we're done with the scoreboard. Put that up. Let's take our tag flaps and fold them on that 1/2 inch. Burnish. And then we'll make the pockets by taking our scissors, and where the 2 lines intersect, we're going to just cut at an angle to miter that corner like that. Did that on both of them. Where your 2 lines intersect, make a little square down there. We're going to cut those away at an angle. And then we're going to fold this up and burnish. That way we can double check and see if we need to miter just a little bit more or not. Here's the corners. We want them to not be overlapping. So that one looks good. Like that, and one more. Okay, that looks good. There's our pockets. Let's grab our page. So we have page set 2. We're going to have the hinge here to our left, the pocket sleeve here on our right. Okay. I'm going to lay these out first and see how long. This is going to go here. See how they fit. Okay, like that. And we are going to have to put our patterned paper on. Or we can just do that as a strip, I think. Let me double check this. It should fit exactly. So we should have one here. And one here. Butted up. The other one I did had a little space, but I've changed this one a little bit. So I like this better. This way we can just put a strip of paper here. We don't have to pattern it all the way across. So I'm going to find a scrap of paper that I want to go here. And these are going to fit over our pockets. They're just kind of mostly for decorating. So they fit like that. And then they will lift up. Okay, so let's grab some patterned paper for this side here. Okay, so here on the right side where the opening is for the pocket sleeve, I cut a piece of patterned paper, and I'm going to use this beige print to kind of match the opposite side. So I cut it 3 inches wide by 7 7/8 tall. I'm just going to glue that on. And my glue's already decided to clog up a little bit in there in that nozzle. There we go, hopefully. There we go. I forgot to put my pin in. So I want a continuous piece here, but I don't need it all the way across the whole page. So we need it right here, and we can build up these pockets on here. Okay. So I think I'm going to take my pocket here, these tag flaps. I'm going to do an angle cut from the fold line, just in that 1/2 inch. Kind of remove some of that bulk on it. So like that. And I'll take one of my pockets and I'm going to attach because I want them to line up pretty good. So I'm going to I'm going to fold under the bottom here. I'm going to open up these sides. We don't want that on there. Fold the bottom one here. It's on the left, and this one here. And on the inside, I'm putting the glue on the 1/2 inch of the tag flap. And then I'm going to line it up right along the fold line on the back side of my pocket and make sure it's lining up within that 4-inch space there, and burnish that. So I'm going to do that on both of them. So now I have a flap on top, and then I have the pocket piece. So I'm going to do the same thing with this one. I'm going to open up my top and bottom, fold this one under, take this one, hope I'm not confusing you. So you take this one with it folded under, open it up, you're going to put your glue on the inside of the 1/2 inch flap, right there. Pick up the pocket and insert the pocket so that the tag flap is laying on top between, make sure it's between the score lines. So you want this flap fitting flush right down on top of your pocket. So now we have a 1/2 inch, double thickness 1/2 inch here. We have our flap made out of a tag, and then we have our pocket. Okay, now we're ready to put them on the page. So I'm going to start here at the bottom, and we're just going to put the bottom one on first. So flip this over on the bottom side, put my glue, and I'm going to attach the fold of the pocket to the hinge fold with the hinge folded under, right along there. Make sure it's right up against it, top and bottom. Okay, and lined up down here. And I'm going to burnish that, lift it up, and burnish inside. Take my tape, seal that off. Now then, put glue on your 1/2 inch sides, and then bring this pocket over, lining it up on the bottom and near the top. Now we have a pocket here. With a tag flap on top, just like that. And we'll put a magnet on there, unless we think it's going to lay down with the paper, but I think a magnet works better. It's for decorative, but you can put a picture under there, and we'll probably use a small magnet. So now we're going to do the same thing here at the top. So turn our pocket over where we're seeing the double thickness 1/2 inch, and on the back side put our glue. Turn this so I can see what I'm doing, and I'm going to line this up right on the fold, right on the top, and right there with each other. Lift it up and burnish. Take your tape, seal that up so that nothing snags inside the pocket. And now we're going to put glue on these side ones. Okay, close it up, bring it down, line it up here at the top, and right here along with the other pocket, there we go, and burnish. And there we are. So we have pockets here, have plenty of room. We have these flaps that lift up for pictures, and we're going to add some magnets in there. Okay, so for these little flaps, because they don't really hold down anything heavy, you could do a ribbon tie if you wanted to, but I'm going to do magnets. So if you did ribbon tie, you would have to plan that ahead of time and put it here under your pattern paper or have it under your pocket. I'm going to use the small magnets because I don't think we need the big ones. So I have 2 sets. So you have 2 pluses and 2 minuses. These are the small basic gray from Country Craft Creations. So I'm just going to open up my flaps here, and I'm going to peel the backing off and just stick these down, just kind of center them here. Put a plus on the flaps. It doesn't matter which one, as long as you have a plus on one side and minus on the other. But so we got those. We grab our tape. Put a little bit of tape on them. Now then, we take the opposites and we attach the metal to metal, and then we peel the backing off again. Super simple, easy. And you just close it up, press it down, and now those are going to stay in place. So now I'm going to lift them up, put tape on my magnets here on the pocket side. Okay, so now we're ready for our patterned paper. We need paper for the pockets and the flaps. So I'm going to go pick out what I want to use for that, and we'll get that done. I've picked out my pattern papers, and I'm going to, since it's opposite this side, I'm going to kind of bring it all together the same. So for your pockets on the inside here, you just need 2 that are cut at 5 1/8 wide by 3 7/8 tall. So that fits there on the pockets. And then you're going to need 4 cut with a die if that's what you're using. And I did 2 for the inside. And I'm just going to double check, make sure they're cut out about the right on the ends here. And you need 2 for the front. So I'm going with the nutcrackers. I had to think there for a minute. The nutcrackers here on this side. So that's how it's gonna look. So I'm gonna go ahead and put my pattern papers on. So that's gonna match that page there. And then on the back side, we're going to do probably, that's where I'm going to do a waterfall. So let me glue all these down real quick. Okay, so there's the front of page set 2. We need to put our eyelets in and our ribbon. Okay, so I have my crocodile, and same thing, we're going to punch the hole unless you're using the Graphic 45 tags, and then those are already done for you. These are Heartfelt Creations tag dies that I used, and so I'm doing my own eyelets in those. I'm going to hold this up so I can get it in there really good. Okay, and the other one. I love how this just dresses it up when you add that little bit of gold, and I'm glad I noticed earlier that I needed gold instead of silver. Silver is pretty, but the paper has gold in it. Okay, there we go, and then we just need some ribbon for that, so I'll cut 2 pieces of that. Some tape here on the end where it came off the roll. And I'm using, I don't know, about, I'll measure it. Looks like about 5.5 to 6 inches of ribbon. I'm trying to conserve it so I don't run out, because I want to use it throughout the whole thing on all the tags that I might use, or at least these tag flaps for sure. There we go. So that's kind of why I'm not tying them into bows, because I want to be able to use as much of this ribbon as I can. And I really like it just tied and knotted like this. Okay, so trim this one. So I was able to do that and only waste a little tiny bit. And the other side. It's going to look so pretty when all these are in the album cover with this paper. This paper is just so much fun. So if you haven't gotten yours yet or haven't checked it out, check out all the exclusive Christmas papers from Country Craft Creations. This one is Christmas Dreams. It's got the beautiful pink and blue colors. And then if you like traditional red and green, there's Christmas Cheer. And then there's also Santa's Little Helper, more vintage recipe type. So check all those out. And then there's a couple of other new ones that I haven't had received yet or haven't been able to work with yet. Noel Nostalgic, I believe. And then, of course, Winter Wonders, which is going to be used for the, that one, the Noel is going to be used in the virtual New Year's Eve retreat, as well as the Winter Wonders, because I did make a project with that. So it's a winter paper, but it also could be used for Christmas. So check all those out on the website at countrycraftcreations.com if you haven't already. Okay, so that's the front of page set 2. And it just all flips open like that. And then we have these pockets here that we can put tags in that we can make. So I really like how that turned out. So I'm ready to do the back side of page set 2, which will be the last thing that we make today. So that's going to be some waterfalls. So I'm going to get all that cut and come back and show you what I've done and show you how to do it. To create the waterfall, we're going to create it on a base piece, which I have cut to 6 inches by 9. 6 inches by 9 is the base piece. We have one of those. And to start off with, I've cut 8 waterfall flaps that are 6 inches by 4.5. First, let's score this one, because it's going to end up like a belly band, but it's going to have the flaps on the end. So you take your 9-inch piece and you're going to score at a 1/2 inch, turn it and score it a 1/2 inch on the other end. So that's going to give us our base that we're going to attach it on instead of onto the page. Okay, so we fold both these under in the same direction. Set that aside for right now. We'll burnish it more in a bit. These that are 6 inches by 4.5, we're going to score our 4.5 inch side at a 1/2 inch on all of them. I have 8 cuts, so score these on all 8. Once that's folded, that's going to give us a 4x6 waterfall. So go ahead and score all 8. Okay, so let's see how this is going to work with 8 of them. Move this out of the way for now. And with waterfalls, you want to make sure that you're really burnishing good to have a nice crease. So I'm going to speed up the camera and fold and burnish all 8 of my waterfall pieces. Okay, so take your base. These should be the exact same width of your base. And your very first one, you're going to glue the fold of your waterfall flap right along the fold of your base and line those up. So I'm going to use glue. And get that unstuck. And turn it so that I can see it good and make sure the fold of my flap goes along the fold of my base. Make sure it goes all the way up and make sure it's even on the edges here. Burnish that. If you get this first one on good, then the rest should all fall into place perfectly, as long as we've got our scoring and cutting right. So the fold of your second one is going to go right up against the bottom edge, cut edge of the one you just placed down. So you're going to have a 1/2 inch space in between. Don't overlap, just make sure the fold of the one you're putting down butts up against the cut edge of the one that's already been placed. And of course you want to make sure you're lining up here on the edge. So go ahead and do that on all of them. Every now and then I like to flip them down and make sure my placement is right. Okay, so keep going. Now all of these waterfall flaps I was able to cut out of leftovers of the cardstock from making all my pages. So before you cut any new sheets, I say all of them, I did use one sheet to cut my base, and then I used the other half of that to make 2 of my flaps. So always check your scraps to see if you have some that will work for whatever your pocket or waterfall or whatever you're constructing that is smaller, so you're not wasting any of your cardstock. And also definitely use your scraps for your tags and photo mats. I've got 2 more cut. Let's see if that's going to be enough. Okay, so that should be 8 should be the number that we need. Put this one down, we'll make sure. And that leaves you with a 1/2 inch sticking out at the bottom here. Okay. Fold these all up and burnish them again. And there is your waterfall. Waterfall piece. So 8 is the number that you need, and this is going to attach onto this page, but we're going to add our pattern paper first. Okay, so I really goofed up and did not notice that my camera turned off, and so I've already finished the waterfall here without showing you. I showed you how to do it, but the camera wasn't running. So you're going to take, I think I'll be able to tell you how to do it without cutting everything again. Take whatever pattern paper you want to use. I chose this one with the little girl with her doll from Christmas. And I cut to fit here from this edge over. You cut 5 and 7/8. So I made a cut here at 5 and 7/8. I'll put that in there and show you. So you turn it over this way. 5 and 7/8. I'm not going to cut it because I might use this for something else, but you would cut it right here at 5 and 7/8. And then I cut this from the bottom up at 8 inches. So I have an 8-inch piece that would fit perfectly over this. So you take your waterfall, the first one you cut to fit this piece. So it ends up being just under 4, 3 7/8 by 5 7/8, and you glue that on. And the next ones you cut each one at a 1/2 inch. So in 1/2 inch strips from the bottom of your first section, which is right here under her face. Then you cut half, half, half. So you have 4, 5, 6, 7. You have 8 1/2-inch strips. And you glue each one to the bottom, and make sure you do it in order. Don't get it out of order, so that you have this image like this. And I decided for me that I did not want a closure piece. I'm just going to leave my waterfall like this. You could attach a ribbon at the top and bottom and tie it here if you wanted to. Then before you put your waterfall base down, cut 2 pieces from the remaining paper, cut from here and then the next one, 1 inch wide by 7 7/8 tall, and glue one here on the left. If you look in there, you can see. And you glue one here on the right. Don't go over your fold line, because you don't need to pattern the whole section. And then I glued, just put glue on the 1/2 inch tabs, top and bottom, attach the waterfall to the page, and now we have this like belly band under here that we can slip something under. If you want to seal this off and make it a pocket, you can. It's totally up to you. At this point, I'm going to leave it loose for right now till I decide what I'm going to tuck in there. So like if you wanted to seal off this side that goes towards your hinge, you would just take glue and put a line of glue in there and seal that off. And then you would have a pocket here with your waterfall underneath. So I'm just going to leave it like that for right now. And I apologize that that got cut off. I'll try to do better at watching that. I watch the little lights all the time, the countdown things, and did not see that it had quit turning. Anyway, so that is page set 2, front and back. I love how this turned out. If you see, I'm going to go over it again, that you flip this up. You can add strips in here or more pattern paper, which I'll decide later. But for now, on each waterfall, we just have that 1/2 inch all the way across, which is the continuance of the image here, so that when you look at it with it down, you see all of this just like that. And I really love how that looks. Okay, so there's page set 1, page set 2. So we'll be working in part 4 of my tutorial, which will probably be, I don't know if it'll be tomorrow or we'll skip a day. So be sure to subscribe, click the bell so you'll know when it's ready. And I'm putting all these into a playlist so that you can find them all together at one time. And make sure you check out countrycraftcreations.com for your crafting supplies. So I'll see you next time for part 4. Thanks. Bye-bye.